Hello and welcome to the Blytheway Mining Show, brought to you by Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown and I'm joined today by Mick Billing, who is the Executive Chairman and CEO of Thor Mining down the line. How are you today, Mick? You well?
G'day, Matt. Well, thanks. And you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Well, thank you very much for coming onto the show. Got a few questions to ask about Thor. Now, Thor's listed on the Australian and AIM market, so check that out if you're interested in the stock. So, setting off, Mick, if you don't mind, at the beginning of the month, you entered into an agreement to co-invest in a South Australian copper project. Would you mind telling us about this and what are your next steps for this particular project?
Yeah, sure, Matt. Very happy to. Kapunda is the home of copper mining in Australia. It was mined and high-grade copper extracted during the back half of the 19th century, and then about 105, 106 years ago, it fell dormant, and there hasn't really been an acceptable way forward for Kapunda in anybody's mind for some time since. We've got the opportunity to invest in it via an associated company that we have acquiring an interest in to bring it back into production using in situ leach or in situ recovery technology, which is environmentally friendly and very, very low cost to bring into production and then to run. And we're pretty happy about that. Now, situ leaching or in situ recovery is not all that well known around the globe, but it is relatively extensively practiced and in operation in the uranium industry. In fact, I think over 50% of the world's uranium production is from in situ recovery, and here in South Australia, in situ recovery of uranium has been commercially in practice for the last 15, 16 or 17 years. So there's a reasonable amount of expertise on ISR right here in South Australia, both amongst the geologists and the metallurgists and a whole bunch of the consultants who operate out of South Australia. And Kapunda is only about an hour and a quarter north of Adelaide, where I happen to live. So we're pretty happy with it. We're also pretty happy with the fact that it's copper. Copper's a pretty hot metal right now. It's just over $6,500 US a ton. I was at a forum a few weeks ago where CRU were presenting, and they're forecasting that in the next couple of years that copper's going to get up to about $8,000 US a ton. I hope they're right. And I hope we're in production at Kapunda by the time that happens. Part of the catalyst for that, I guess, is the fact that the battery operated, the electric vehicles and the hybrid vehicles use between 2.5 to 3 times as much copper as a standard internal combustion motor vehicle. And that's a big boost to copper consumption, and I understand there are no new big mines coming on stream anytime soon. So we're very happy with this acquisition. It's not an asset or a project that needs a lot of drilling to come up with a resource. That resource estimate will be out in a couple of weeks' time. The drilling and the intersections and the cross sections and all of the things that support a resource are known and have been known for a little while. We are putting together a resource assessment that outlines what is likely to be economically recovered through in situ recovery mechanisms. And I hope that will be out in the next little while.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. Moving away from copper, you also have in the US the Big Sandy project, so slightly diversifying the portfolio of Thor Mining. Can you just talk us through this lithium option that you have with Big Sandy?
Yeah, sure, Matt. We a couple of months ago now, I guess, acquired a 25% interest in a company called US Lithium, and US Lithium have the have the Big Sandy project in Arizona, plus a couple of other smaller lithium projects, but it's Big Sandy that is the, in my view, the carrot. We have the right to take that interest up to 100%, and we are going through the due diligence process of that. The things that we have been doing, we've been talking to the local regulators, making sure that the tenements and all those things are legally in good status. We've also taken some samples of our own, sent them off for analysis, and having some mineralogical work done to make sure that if the lithium is at a reasonable grade, it is also in the form that can be commercially extracted. And we're waiting on the outcomes of that. We sincerely hope they come back with good news, but we have to wait for that to happen.
And so you're very busy, obviously, in the first part of this year, and to keep you even busier, and hopefully with good news, you very recently announced a new drill program, I believe at the Pilot Mining Tungsten project. Can you just talk about that briefly and your objectives and how you've achieved so far with regards to that drilling project?
Matt, happy to. We are working at the Pilot Mountain project in a two-pronged approach. We are diamond drilling for some extensions we hope are there to some high-grade intersections at the Desert Shearlight deposit, where there is an existing JORC resource. And that diamond drilling commenced last week, and it's grinding its way through the earth to get to its zone of interest. It's not there yet, but in the first of those holes, it should happen in the next week, or perhaps even a little bit inside that. But that will be diamond core, and then we have to get that assayed. The other deposit that we're working on, we're doing some reverse circulation drilling deposit, and Good Hope has not been drilled before, but by us, but there is a lot of historical underground workings and a little bit of historical drilling, but not a lot. I guess we're starting from scratch at Good Hope. We've drilled the first of those holes. The results for that will be able to be assessed by XRF, and I'd ask your audience to look for an RNS to that respect in the next little while, because an announcement of those preliminary XRF results is due imminently.
So we've got a lot of a lot to look forward to with regards to RNSs over the coming weeks. Obviously, a busy start to the year. It seems as if you're going to have a busier second half of this year. Is there anything, bar the updates that you've already discussed, that we should, or investors should be looking out for in the coming months?
Just to reiterate, Matt, I think the resource assessment or the resource estimate for the leachable portion of the Kapunda copper deposit is due in the next couple of weeks. The first of the announcements on some of the intersections on at Good Hope at Pilot Mountain also quite soon. In fact, you might even see one later on today, and then more later on. Hopefully some good news and the exercise of the options at Big Sandy on the lithium project. With any good news coming out of any of those, there's likely to be a requirement to go back and do more work, because investors will be encouraged, and we will be encouraged by the quality of and the good news that we produce. So I can't anticipate which of them is going to come to the fore first, but we've got several projects on the go. We like each of them. A couple of them we think are absolutely outstanding. At Pilot Mountain, it's not just a tungsten project. The copper and the zinc we're seeing at Pilot Mountain in some of the drill results are very good. I've banged on earlier on about how good I think copper is. Well, zinc's now above 3,000 US dollars a pound. I can't remember when it was last at that level. This is a pretty good story, and I hope a pretty good time for our investors.
Well, exactly. As you said, commodities are really pushing high, and it's good to see that again. So hopefully the results, you get everything that you expect over the coming weeks. On that note, Mick Billing, Executive Chairman and CEO of Thor Mining, thank you so much for joining us down the line today.
Matt, nice to talk to you again.